So the deadline is today for Trump to pay his $454 million bond to New York. But this morning, Trump did not pay that as appeals court cuts $454 million bond due on Monday, today, to $175 million. So less than half, but still $175 million bucks. Let's read more because I wonder what other details are in here. Donald Trump was granted some reprieve as an appeals court drastically cut the $454 million bond he was required to post in his New York civil fraud case on Monday. The 5-judge panel reduced the amount to $175 million and gave Trump 10 more days to come up with the funds. The embattled presumptive Republican president nominee, well, he is the Republican presidential nominee. He has already acquired all of the delegates, and everybody else is suspended their campaign. So it's Trump. Trump has been required to fork over the money or post a bond for $454 million by Monday as he seeks to appeal the massive judgment ordered against him by Manhattan Supreme Court Justice Arthur Engoron last month. That's the same judge that just determined that Trump had undervalued his Mar-a-Lago properties and frauded a bank, where the bank got paid back in full and said it was a good business transaction, and there was actually literally no victim in this, and didn't give Trump any kind of opportunity to defend himself. Basically, just the judge rubber stamped, you're guilty and you owe money, right? It's pretty wild that he's been able to get away with what he has so far. But, you know, the precedent to this was what they did to Alex Jones, when judges just basically across multiple states said that now he owes like $1 trillion or something. Put another dollar in the Alex Jones was right jar, but they went after him first, and they won't stop there. I wouldn't be surprised to see Elon Musk get dragged into something here before too long. And that's just me guessing. But the First Department put on hold other parts of Engoron's decision, including the portions barring Trump and his 2 eldest sons, Eric and Donald Trump Jr., from running New York companies. The appeals court also paused the part of the ruling that banned Trump and his family real estate holding company from applying for loans in the Empire State. Yeah, right, like Trump is ever going to want to apply for a loan in New York again. If I was Trump, I'd be looking to sell all these buildings. They'd be for sale right now, you know. This case aside, to get out of New York. Okay. Trump 77 had asked the First Department to either lower the bond amount or allow him not to post one at all while he appeals the case. And that's what it should have been, in my opinion. Allow him not to post one while it's under appeals, right? I mean, if it's under appeal, that means the original ruling is not set in stone yet, but it's New York, right? They do whatever they want. There should be no fine, Trump posted on Truth Social early Monday morning, adding he did nothing wrong. Why should I be forced to sell my babies because a corrupt New York judge and AG set a fake and ridiculous number? His babies referring to his buildings, I guess. Trump's attorneys had said they couldn't secure a $454 million bond and didn't want to sell his properties at fire sale prices to come up with the funds. You know what's funny is if you did have to sell those buildings at fire sale prices, I wouldn't have been surprised to see the government or some type of entity close to the government swoop those buildings up and just shove migrants in them, right? Illegal criminal aliens, whatever they're called. New York Attorney General Letitia James, whose office prosecuted the case, said she wouldn't hesitate to seize his prized Big Apple buildings if Trump didn't pony up. Engoron, who oversaw the non-jury trial for 3 months last year, found Trump had committed business fraud and ordered he pay the hefty penalty February 16th. See, that's what I'm talking about. He just ordered that Trump did something wrong. He didn't actually even let Trump or his attorneys present a case, from what I understand. He just ruled. But the ruling from the First Department on Monday left in place Engoron's order that an independent monitor who's been reviewing Trump org practices for months be given more oversight powers. It also left untouched the portion of the ruling requiring the company to hire a compliance officer to report to the monitor. I mean, all the spying that went on in Trump's campaign when he took over in 2016, I just find this curious that they're going to have these people oversight in Trump's businesses, sitting there basically in the building watching everything going on while Trump runs his presidential campaign and presumably wins. Hopefully when he wins, he can just kick all these people out of his buildings, but they're going to call him some type of dictator if he does. So they're setting up the chessboard for Trump to potentially look bad going forward, but it's all fake, right? It's all fake news. It's all deep state. And if you're paying attention, you see it, and you see it coming. So Trump must file all his appeals papers in time for the first department's fall session of oral arguments in September, the order says. Trump's lawyer, Alina Habba, lauded the decision as monumental. This monumental holding reigns in Judge Engoron's verdict, which is an affront to all Americans. This is the first important step in fighting back against Letitia James and her targeted witch hunt against my client, which started before she even stepped foot in office, Habba said. And that's her referring to Letitia James saying that she's going to get Trump in part of her campaign when she ran for that position as district attorney. A spokesperson in the AG's office said Monday that the ruling doesn't let Trump off the hook. Donald Trump is still facing accountability for his staggering fraud, the statement said. The court has already found that he engaged in years of fraud to falsely inflate his net worth and unjustly enrich himself, his family, and his organization. The statement said, referring to Engoron's ruling from before the trial finding Trump liable for one of the AG's main fraud counts and ordering his business licenses be canceled in New York. That's the same ruling talking about Mar-a-Lago, where the judge said it was worth 50 times, potentially 50 times less than what it's actually worth, which to me would be the real fraud, right? I mean, that's what we're talking about, right? Just lying and defrauding the value of the property. Well, that's what the judge just did, right? I don't know. The spokesperson also highlighted that if Trump loses the appeal of the case, he and his co-defendants will still owe the $464 million and the daily interest of $112,000 on top of that, which, from what I understand, that started, 30 days ago. So the number he owes right now is close to the $500 million. Could be more, could be less. So it looks like a bit of a win for Trump and his team, as they have at least another 10 days to come up with the $175 million now, where, from what I understand, they were having a hard time actually securing $454 million from any bank or bonds or anything like that, because nobody actually just lets that much cash sit around. If you have $400 million, $450 million, it's actually wrapped up in investments and assets. It's not just sitting in the bank most of the time, from what I understand. I don't know. The bank doesn't just have that sitting around either. Interestingly enough, they actually loan more than what people deposit. So the banks certainly don't have that much sitting around. They could acquire it with time, but I don't know how much time. But that's, besides the point. Trump was only given 30 days originally to come up with this. Now another 10 days. But $175 million is still a lot to come up with. And if the reports are true that Trump has about $500 million cash on hand that he had reserved for his campaign, because like we know, the first time he ran for president, he paid for all of his campaign. He wasn't using government funds to pay for his security or any of that stuff. It was all on him. And, at this point, he's been president, so he's entitled to secret security and all that stuff for the rest of his life, from what I understand. But so it's a different scenario this time. But still, he's funding a lot of his campaign with his own money. And, if he had 500 set aside and then he had to fork over 454 of that, 454 million of that here at the end of March when the election is in November, that would have a huge effect on his ability and what he can do with his campaign this year, which is one of the goals of Letitia James and Judge Engoron and all these people. Don't be fooled that they're just trying to uphold some kind of law or whatever. They're definitely trying to hurt Trump's campaign. They don't want him winning this year's presidency, and that's what these big cases are really about. They want him to look really bad this year, and I hear a lot of Democrat, people, voters say, oh, he's got 90 fraud trials or charges and this and that, but as it's progressing, charges are being dropped by judges. Anything that actually is moving forward has either been this corrupt judge or, just ruling without giving Trump any type of trial or letting him present any case. Or what we see in Georgia, in Fulton County, with Fani Willis's prosecution or attempt to prosecute Trump and his co-defendants there on the RICO charges, which that case has turned into a huge mess, all brought on by Fani Willis. And we know Fani Willis is over there saying that she's the only DA in the U.S. with enough courage to actually prosecute Trump. But to me, that means that she's the only one, with the exception of Letitia James, that's actually dumb enough to risk it, right? They'll do it for the amount of money that they're getting paid in the interim while they have this position to prosecute Trump. And then, she calls it bold, and I call everybody else as being smart. I don't know. To each their own, right? And one of the other unfortunate things about all these witch hunt, cases is there's tons of taxpayer dollars that's just going to attorneys. I'm sure the taxpayers for these cities and counties that are being affected would much rather their hard-earned dollars going towards something more well-suited in their direct community, rather than pursuing these, banana republic charges that only the extreme far left really can get behind and support. Unfortunately, that's the mainstream media and, the presidential regime that we have in the White House right now. So all I can say is get out there and vote in your local elections. Replace all of these corrupt Democrats and lifelong Republicans that have been in these positions forever that aren't doing anything for you. Get people in there that affect your life in your local elections, and then get a good, strong president that's going to make America great again, right? Can I say that? And then re-elect Trump as president. As simple as that. Hopefully you agree. If you do, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.